Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We should be online now. It's a pleasure to be here again. I was attending and talking during the opening webinar on the last Wednesday, on the 24th, at the very beginning of this last edition of the Tech Share Day 2021. It's the second one during this year. It's the winter edition. It has been 3 days full of very interesting discussion in the field of Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. I hope many people had the opportunity to attend the different webinars and enjoyed their contents. Today we are here for the final somehow closing remarks of all of our very interesting discussion, but as we normally say, it's last but not least, because we are having a very interesting panel of speakers to come. Today it's a bit more let's say institutional moment. I'm welcoming you on behalf of the Associazione Netval, of our president, Giuseppe Conti, who didn't have the opportunity to join us for this last webinar, so he asked me to make some introduction. It's my pleasure again. I think we are almost reaching a good number of participants as expected from the registration we received on the website. So I don't want to waste too much time, just want to introduce you briefly the agenda of today. Today we will have this first panel, as I said, with a lot of very interesting speakers. We will have Mr. Marco Bani, Head of Secretariat and Ministero dello Sviluppo at the Economic and Economic Development Ministry in Italy. We will have Professoressa Barbara Caputo from the Politecnico of Torino, Matteo Lanfranchi from the Italian Institute of Technology, Domenico Golzio from the European Patent Office, and also a very overseas representation of Sara Rampazzi, Professoressa Sara Rampazzi from the University of Florida. After this panel, that will last for about 1 hour from now, and it will be chaired by our colleague Gloria Padmaperuma, who will take the lead of the discussion. We will have Federico Novembrini introducing us, showing us in real time, as we started to do since the very first edition of the Tech Share Day. We like this small thing of presenting in real time the figures, the KPI of the event, just going to finish it. So Federico will tell us how we've been doing in the last 3 days in terms of participation and user engagement. And then we will have the very final closing remarks with our colleagues from the Patent and Trademark Office, Italian Patent and Trademark Office, Francesco Morgia and Loredana Guglielmetti, who will be with us, introducing us to some other very interesting projects that we'll show you, and then for the final greetings and closing the event. So I will stop here, and I would leave the ground for to Gloria and her panel for the next discussion. Thank you, Gloria, and thank you to all the speakers for having joined us and accepted our invitation.
Hi, thanks, Shiva. Hello, everyone. So thanks, Shiva, for the introduction. So I think I can skip ahead and also let you know. So everything that we've been talking about and listening during the webinars has been quite focused on the applications of AI and IoT in the various fields, from biomedical to geology and also to transport and mobility. Today, as Shiva mentioned, the roundtable will focus a bit more on something less technical, but probably a lot of questions that may have come to your mind while you've been listening to the webinars. So let's say it's more of an institutional approach on IoT and AI. And as we've already introduced the panel, I think we can jump ahead and go straight to some of the questions that we've already prepared and sort of discuss and hear what our panel has to say. So the first one will start off with, I think it's more something that Domenico will probably have a say, and then everybody else probably will be able to interact and join us as well. So we wanted to know a bit more about the European Patent Convention. We reading and looking into it these days, we know it was formed about 50 years ago, meaning that probably some of the models and concepts that were coined those days predate our electronic era. With the rise of AI and IoT innovations and the integration in, as we have seen during the webinars, into the actual current industrial ecosystem, do you think that some of these practices and IP standards are valid now, or do you reckon they would need to be substantially updated? And the other point also probably to address here is that the IoT AI industry moves quite fast. So how do you think it is easy for example, EPO or other patent institutions to catch up onto this as well?
Okay, thank you, Gloria. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thank you for the invitation to this Tech Share Day 2021. It's an honor and privilege to be here. Well, okay, in fact, this is a very interesting question. So, well, I will start talking a little bit about the past. Okay, where now we are in the future. We want always to talk about the future, but you rightly said that the European Patent Office was enacted in 1973. So basically, it's 50 years ago. Was designed the European Patent Convention in the 60s, and okay, well, I guess you are all very young, but at that time, you know, the electronics and microprocessor. By the way, we are celebrating this year the 50 years of the invention of the microprocessor, Federico Faggin, an Italian. So I think it's important to say. So at that time, we were in the middle of what we call today the third industrial revolution, and was really difficult probably at that time to envisage what would have happened in the following years. So I said, well, okay, I think maybe there were some science fiction movie, but even this movie, they were not able to predict everything which is available today. And then I experienced myself in the 70s. I was in high school. We saw the first pocket calculator, the Texas Instrument, or the Hewlett-Packard. I don't know whether you know, go to a museum and you will see these kind of things. So, and even the word of software was not probably used too much at that time. So indeed, as probably you have heard very often, computer programs were appear in the first edition of the European Patent Convention, but they appear as exclusion from patentability. So was not possible to patent computer programs as such. So there was they opened a little door saying, okay, well, but if you combine this with other elements, then you might get a patent. But okay, then there was some evolution, and in the edition of European Patent Convention 2000, which started in 2007, because required the ratification of all the member states. So there was some modification about this article about the exclusion, and then we introduced the concept of fields of technology. So even though the European Patent Convention doesn't define what is technical or what is the technology, at least there was a link to a word which is more familiar, and there was a link to the real world. And yeah, okay, and then slowly we started receiving, in the 90s, there was the boom of software, computational invention, let's say. And then we were faced to more and more to this type of patent application. And then there was a famous decision, the Conti case, which explained or helped the examiner, also the public, how to address this type of invention, defining the approach we should have in analyzing and combining technical and non-technical features. I just wanted to mention also here, we had at the time also, and we have still today even more invention concerning business method, which are not again excluded by the European Patent Convention, but then try to explain how this could reach the patent stage. And also, so I'm already saying we are using the case law, the real case decision of the Board of Appeal or the large Board of Appeal to steer and interpret the convention. And just mention, since we are here talking about artificial intelligence, so we had even this year in March a recent decision which was directed to simulation. Simulation as okay, in IoT, in artificial intelligence, is definitely one of the main application. And basically, a simple simulation can be considered just a mental act, so will be excluded from patentability. But this decision link or made a link to possible effect of this simulation to the real world. And then if there is this link, then we can grant patent also for simulation. So this was an interesting decision, which opened up a lot of possibilities on patenting. And then I just give you the case of maybe the least interesting, but still very important, is about the video games, virtual reality, augmented reality, etc. If all this has a potential technical effect, then you can patent, or you can get a patent for that. So basically, I'm saying, okay, well, yes, the European Patent Convention is graphically is old. Okay, you cannot change that. But what we are doing now is, or what we were doing, is the usage of the case law to cope with the changing of the technology, the new technology, etc. Yes, okay, well, maybe we should have a new European Patent Convention. So, by the way, it's not on the table any discussion about that. Well, then you have to really think about what will be the fifth industrial revolution, or maybe the sixth one, and change the patent convention in order to cope with the future development. And I just want to finish, an important point is also stakeholders. So the user of the patent system requires stability. So people, they don't want that we change the law every year, etc., because this will create uncertainty. And then I just wanted to mention what happened in the US Patent Office. There were some changes, adaptation, etc. This will create some confusion in the applicant or the patent applicant, the inventors. So it's difficult, and also okay, we are talking these days in this tech share days, fast-growing, developing, moving technology, but there are other technology which should be protected by patents, which are they are changing with a different pace and a more stable the stability is even more important. And yeah, okay, this is what I would say about this question. Thank you.
Thank you, Domenico. That was really quite exhausting in the sense that things also are moving quite fast. So I guess a lot of the inventors and a lot of the people that are looking into, for example, well, at least I'm more in the field of biotech. Sometimes it's quite hard to understand where we can stop or patent or have a new innovation. It brings to the question of, obviously, with IoT and AI, there's also the big debate of, this is actually a question for the whole floor. It has come to the question on, obviously, artificial intelligence perhaps in the future will become even more intelligent, perhaps more autonomous in a way. So when you actually use AI or these type of technologies, where does the creator, where does the person as a creator begin and stop, and where does the AI go? Does this apply by any means to also to patents? I know each country, for example, or each continent has different ways of viewing this. So the simple question is, does it belong to the creator, the person, the company, or does it actually, can it be that the artificial intelligence could own the patent or not? Barbara, I can see you raising your hand if you want to go ahead on this one.
I know, I just want to add actually questions. I don't have answers. So when you say that does it belong to AI, to the creator, and what creator do you have in mind? Because if I have an AI algorithm that creates a painting that maybe is sold in a public auction, as it has happened, so the creator was who took an existing algorithm and gave us some information, some data as input in order to get that output, or the creator is the researcher, the human being that designed the algorithm that is behind the software that we'll use, or the creator is who implemented the software that created, that was used. And how about the hardware that makes it possible to run it? I have just questions, I'm sorry.
No, I guess you added more layers to what I was asking as well. So I guess we need some answers from somewhere. If somebody wants to take this one on, it doesn't sound quite easy as well.
Well, I don't want to talk always, so maybe first I leave others, and then I will. I don't know if other one wants to intervene on this point. Otherwise, I can give you the position of VPO on this artificial intelligence saga. I would say authorship or ownership and inventorship. I don't know. Anybody else want to?
I think they're putting you forward at the moment.
Okay, so well, but it was not supposed to be my talk today, but no, okay. I think first of all, Barbara, well, just well, she said is the guy who created the algorithm, is the guy who embedded in the hardware, is the guy who put the data, who did the training of the data of the artificial intelligence, and the answer from EPO is yes, 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 or to all of your questions. So what our approach, or the official approach of EPO, which is followed by many other offices, is the inventor who holds the patent should be a natural physical person. The owner, so the inventorship should be a person. The ownership can be a legal entity or a physical entity. And then the link we make is, okay, this is already in the convention, and then we don't have to change. And then we are, for us, was easy to stay, to obey to this article and rules we have in the European Patent Convention. But okay, it's not I want to throw the ball in another field, but the problem is the ownership. The ownership is a legal title, and then has to be given to a legal entity. Since we don't have artificial intelligence as a legal entity, so automatically we are not accepting ownership of a patent application, a patent to give the ownership to the artificial intelligence. And then exactly as Barbara said, we accept as inventor the person who put together the various pieces which made up an artificial intelligence invention. Of course, the philosophical question is one day will be an artificial intelligence able to wake up in the morning under the shower as we human do, make an invention and go to the patent office, file a patent application, say, oh, this is my idea, this is my invention, and I want to license, etc. Well, okay, I don't know whether the artificial intelligence is already at that level. I'm sure some of you knows more, but well, for the time being, people predict this will happen in 2075. I don't know what this makes sense. And then I just wanted to add, to insist on this point, is interesting what did the Australian Patent Office, the Australian court just recently, because as you know, there is this famous case, the Dabus case, this container with the fractal shape, etc., where we refused as a patent application. What happened in Australia, the court decided that artificial intelligence can be the inventor, but cannot be the owner. So they had a 50-50 decision, but still the situation is unclear, or we don't know because there are appeals before the patent office and other national office, and then we'll see. But if I may give a message, a positive message to the audience, is clearly, well, okay, if you want to test the system, the patent system, okay, file a patent application declaring this is an invention done by artificial intelligence, but you will lose the patent. Whatever you do with the artificial intelligence, either you use as assisting you, helping you, embedding, etc. Declare you are the inventor as the person, the human being who put together the pieces, because at least you have the your patent application will not be refused a priori.
Okay, thank you. So, well, what I'm guessing is that, for example, if a company owns the AI, but they have a dependent creating something, the company could actually argue that the patent belongs to them opposed to the individual inventing the creation. Yeah,
and the inventor just declare is your chief technology officer, your programmer, whoever put the pieces together, because in that way, because there is also a practical problem. If you declare the inventor is an artificial intelligence, and then as a patent office we summon an oral proceedings where we discuss the inventive step, the novelty, etc., and we want to hear the opinion of the inventor. So what is going to happen? How do I communicate? I'm sure this artificial intelligence entity will be able to speak, to listen to me. I just talking my English, and okay, so there are a lot of problems nobody has considered now how to interact with this inventor.
No, fair enough. I think it's probably things we're going to hear more and more about in the coming future, well, which is not too far either anyway. it looks like these things are not straightforward. Well, nothing ever is in research anyway. So keeping this in mind, it will be really good, I think, for the audience. And I want to also remind everybody that you can actually ask questions in the questions pool and we can direct them to the panel today. But keeping this in mind from a point of view, let's say, of more of an institution or business, it's not always easy to interpret these policies. And of course, there's EPO and there's other institutions that can help. So I guess maybe Mark will have a view on this one. So are there any tools or things that can help people to understand? I know you said there was something coming up as well, so I guess probably I'll give you the floor now.
Yeah, thank you, Gloria. Thank you for the question. First of all, I would like to be clear and saying that I'm not an expert in AI at all. I'm basically a policymaker, so my duty is to make things happen and try to dodge bureaucracy and obstacles in the public administration. And so, but I'm here because first of all, I would like to listen, because a good policymaker is the one who is listening all the actors in a particular field and then try to make a compromise or make a document about all the positions. And I think I'm here also because 2 days ago, Italy has been published the strategic program for artificial intelligence. But I don't want to spoil about that. So I'm giving you, first of all, a straight answer to your question. Yes, we have tools, but the point is that we don't have a silver bullet. We don't have a magic recipe. We can get a little bit of machine learning, mix it with communication and a little bit of policy, and then you can have AI for all the enterprises, all the digital services of whatsoever. So as you can imagine, the process is a little bit complex, and so the first question is how the government can help to make this process less complex. First of all, I would like to focus that it's obvious to say that our main goal is to improve public services to citizens and help the industrial sector. This is our duty. In consideration of this strategic vision, we are trying to transpose the white paper on artificial intelligence, which is the European approach to AI, and is trying to reflect European values such as openness, fairness, pluralism, democracy, and security. That's easy to say, but it's hard to get in action. But we try to put all these values in our product, which is the strategic program. And of course, I invite you all to read it and comment it. You can search on Google Italian Strategy Program for Artificial Intelligence. It's published now. I would like to stress it is a result of the joint work of the Ministry of Economic Development, the Ministry of University and Research, and the Ministry of Innovation, which is not that easy to find a policy which is a joint work like that. And then also I would like to thank the super high qualified expert groups that helped us in the drafting. And of course, Barbara was one member of this group. Then now I can give you some spoiler of the strategy, so to put some point to discussion. And it's honest to say that even politicians now has recognized that AI has matured to the point that it represents a central factor in the digital transformation. And so we try to understand the level of the AI ecosystem in Italy, which it has a vast potential, but for sure it's not yet fully exploited. So even if the ecosystem is characterized by vibrant research communities, and you know about that, but these often lack of scale, and they struggle to attract foreign talent, for instance, and also of the improvement of gender representation and patenting performance, as you mentioned earlier. And so also we have to speed up in helping companies to embed AI solutions. And also we try to be on the same train with other European member states. These are the context. And then we need radical upgrade and update. So in line with the European strategy, our program outlines 24 policies. I don't know if they are too much or they are not enough. Well, it's just they are real and concrete policies. That is the point. The final aim is to make Italy a competitive center on artificial intelligence, and so we need to strengthen research and encouraging technology transfer. But we cannot do that only with words. Also, for every policy, we try to underline and to stress the sources of investment, which is important, of course. And we have the PNRR, our National Recovery and Resilience Plan. We have a big opportunity to make these words real, and so we cannot escape from our duty. Then, so in the strategy, you can see 3 big areas of intervention. The first of all is skills and talent. Then we have how to make our public services more intelligent and more simple for the citizens, more easy for in terms of even usability, accessibility for citizens, and then how to exploit the AI solution for enterprises. I think we don't discover the hot water, but it's a way to coordinate all the different policies that they were scattered around different ministries. This is why I said that the importance of this document is a joint work. And so I don't know what to say more, because I cannot read the whole strategy, but you can find all the tools that you were mentioned in your questions. And the way we try to elaborate these tools will be the ongoing program of discussion with all the actors, with all the stakeholders. And so it's the publishing of the strategy is just the beginning of a journey, which is going to involve all the actors and all the stakeholders. And I hope you can give us a real feedback, a real comment on that, and trying to make our ecosystem thriving in the following months, years, and centuries.
Okay, thank you. I was wondering, Barbara, since you worked on it too, did you want to add something?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks Marco. It's a great, it has been a great honor, a pleasure, and I have to say a source of pride and relief at the same time, that Italy, a country that is part of G8, that led the G20, was without a strategy on AI, was something that as an expert deeply troubled me. Now we have a strategy, and if I may say so, a pretty solid one. And it's solid because there's a very, very clear vision, that runs through it. And the vision is that the big emergency of our time is a shortage of talents, of experts in the digital domain. And how do you deal with that? And you have to deal it on 3 main points. So you need to invest in skills and talents. So you have to give educational bodies the strength, the energy, the resources to have, to be able to enlarge, to scale up and form more talents. If you want really the people who teach us to the new generations the good stuff, the real thing, and you want them to test their wings in the real thing, you need to have excellent research, because research is where new ideas happen, but it's also where the new, the researchers of tomorrow learn to think. If you want, is their sandbox. They need excellent sandbox. But then when we arrive at the point that we have all these great talents, and Italy has a stellar record in educating brilliant minds, we want them to be part of the economic system of our country. We need to build this bridge between what happens in schools and in universities, in the public administration, in the public and private economy of our country. And this strategy makes it all. So And it does it in with this big vision, and for every single action, and here's where there's money to do that, and here's where money to do that. It really is a fantastic opportunity that won't happen again in a very long time. Actually, we all hope that for the next 100 years we are done with pandemic. So we really have to, yes, we need to use it wisely.
Thank you for that additional top-up and remark as well. I agree. I think it would be great to see more and more people actually, also from a younger age. For example, I live in the UK right now, and I see there's a lot of infrastructure and a lot of courses that are getting integrated into you learning or acquiring. Or actually, I have my niece and nephews who are actually better coders than me, for example. So probably they're the future as well. We do have a question here. I'm trying to understand if it's from a patenting point of view or not, from one over the audience. Unfortunately, because they can't intervene themselves, I will still read the question. I assume it's something to do with patenting and taking things forward. So Mira is asking if she could get some advice on the roadmap in IoT AI for, I suppose, patenting medical treatments or automation. If you want to answer it, if somebody has sort of a quick answer or some resources they can look at.
Sorry, Gloria, there is an alarm here, but the question was about the road to patenting.
Yeah, so
right?
basically, yeah, so it's I would like to get advice from someone expert there about the roadmap to follow in AI, IoT, in order to perform medical treatment automation. I suppose it's from a patenting or from a sort of a tech point of view, if there's any advice or tips you can give. And then if anybody would like to steer, sort of give any advice on this.
Well, I can give the perspective from the technologist point of view. So I'm a researcher, so I can tell something about that. So, well, first of all, you have to see, of course, if there is inventive in what you in the invention or the technology that you want to patent. And well, here at IIT, what we usually do is to first of all make a check to see if there is any prior art that can be infringing to that technology, and then based on that, we fortunately have a patent office here which takes care about all these things. Of course, we have to do a first round of first check to see if there is, if there are margins, let's say, to find, to have a specific inventing that can be then patented. Then, based on that, of course, you write a you write down a patent draft, and then this is going to be evaluated by evaluators, maybe at the European Patent Office or the Italian Patent Office. This is the very basic things I know. Then I don't know specifically for AI in the medical field. I have to say we work with prosthetics and mostly and exoskeletons and mostly mechatronics. So in that case, usually what we do is to try to write, our patents on mechatronic solution. Now, I have to say, usually in robotics, in mechatronic devices, there is both a component, a mechanical mechatronic hardware component, and a software component. For the software component, usually even already traditional control methods are, let's say pretty hard to defend. I don't know in the specific case of AI though. So yeah, this is what I can say from my experience so far in patenting.
Okay, thank you, Matteo.
Okay.
I think you satisfied the question. We got a thank you after that.
Right.
Since you're, yeah, Domenico, do you want to add?
Or maybe I can, if you want, I can add something here. So well, okay, as Matteo said, okay, don't think patents is the end of your innovation or invention or creativity. So use patents at the very beginning. So this is what Matteo was saying. So check prior art, and while he was talking, just put IoT and medical, etc. I just found 30 in Espasnet. So go to Espasnet, is the EPO data bank. I just did this in real time, so you will find the 32,000 patent just with these two keywords, and then you can specialize, etc. So check what is already there, then you will see what are the problems people are trying to solve. Maybe you have a better idea, or maybe you have a solution for a problem nobody has yet found. So definitely this is checking the public available databases is one step you have to do. And then since we are okay in Italy, okay, at least virtually from my side, but the Italian inventor filing a patent, the UIBM, so Italian Patent Office, have the great advantage. The Italian government pay part of the work or the fees. Basically, you get an expert search and an opinion on your invention from the European Patent Office. So the Italian companies, Italian SME, or the audience are in a very advantageous position with respect to maybe other countries where they have to pay higher fee to go to European Patent Office. So okay, so use this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Domenico.
If I can
yes.
add something.
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
Like especially for medical device, another important characteristic I'm talking about, like the security perspective. Like we are talking about devices that are collecting like sensitive data from like patient, and also like AI for training, for example, for some algorithm. From the technical standpoint, they need some type of data collection. So another thing to like be aware of is that there are legislation and compliance, especially like depending on the country that your patent will be referring to, they have different legislation. So how to treat the data, how like this like data should be collected and processed. So one of the things to like also be like take care of, it should be how these connected devices is sharing this like sensitive data, how it's using for the processing. So like and what it will be privacy for the user. So like be aware of that like IoT devices are connected to the internet, and like a breaches on a medical device, it can be like a privacy problem for like the user. So this is also another thing that should be like take into account when start patenting like a new technology. That's it.
Okay, thank you. I think with all the pool of answers that that you gave, I think Mira should have a good idea now where to look for information as well, and perhaps who to approach after the webinar. We always welcome participants if they want to reach out to our speakers as well. So what I'm going to do, since we touched again on sort of IP, and also we had a bit of an insight of what Matteo does. There was another question that we had through, because we did have quite a few talks in the first webinar of applications of medical AI into the field of perhaps robotics automation. It was more related to the sort of the dependency of IP related to actually the, I guess, the control methods or mechatronic devices. See that there is a concept of it being quite hard to broaden the protection of IP on algorithms and methods. And since you're in this field of prosthetics as well, and you have quite a lot of few technologies within your lab group, it'd be great to get a perspective on this, so we can actually touch on some of also a bit on the question that was posed before, and maybe get a bit more of a personal insight as well.
Yeah. So what I can witness from my experience here at IIT, I've been working on robotics technologies for quite a few years now, and what I've seen is that generally, I mean, this is the case. So you basically have a mechatronic device, you make it work. Of course, you have some hardware, and then on top of that, to make it work, you actually develop some control methods, or you develop some software to make it, move and do something, right? And to give some intelligence to the device. Usually, what I've seen is that, yeah, there is a dependency of the software on the actual device. But of course, I mean, this is also because of the actual nature of these devices. So they're so specific. They target some specific problem, like for example, I mean, you can see here in the background we have a robotic prosthetic hand or another device for rehabilitation. They really are made to tackle specific problems. So then, based on that, also some specific control methods are implemented in those, right? And so in the end, of course, as a result, then in the end, software and control methods are not, let's say, that they don't have, I would say, the importance, yeah, that they deserve, because again, they are on a different level compared to the hardware device. I had the chance to actually witness one case when we could actually patent a complete control method invention. So that was made on an exoskeleton. Fortunately, the exoskeleton was made with, let's say, pretty standard technology. So then in the end, that could be used. It was actually a patent on the rehabilitation, on a control method for the rehabilitation of incomplete, let's say, spinal cord injuries or stroke survivors. So people which still have some, mobility in their limbs. And in that case, the technology, the basic mechatronic technology that we developed, the algorithm, on top of it, it made it possible to actually, write a patent just on the method. And so now basically that method can be protected, on, let's say, any exoskeletal device which can be around in the world. So in that case, we made it possible to patent that, but that was just very one case. I mean, that just happened once in my experience here so far as a researcher. And so I guess, I mean, I wonder what happens now that we are starting also putting some AI inside the control algorithms, for example, for prosthetics. Recently for prosthetics, we talk more and more about AI. And so, I'm just wondering what, if it's already, quite difficult, but because of its nature, right, to defend and to patent these inventions, what will happen now that we will start implementing also some artificial intelligence within robotic devices? So yeah, this is actually a curiosity that I wanted to ask. Maybe, I don't know, Domenico has got some answer to that. I'm not sure about that, but.
Well, okay, no, okay, of course, belonging to the entity who grants the patent, so I think I have to, well, okay, I can say something. Well, okay, first of all, I mean, there are two main, or the answer will be very long, but I try to, because I see the time, we are already at 1 hour almost. I don't want to spend more time, keep you there. But, well, okay, so first of all, you're right. The probability of, it was not even, okay, well, you can call probability, but the fact, so the analysis I can do on the grant rate at TPO is just measuring, or I will see in average, typically all European patents have a grant rate about 50–60%. If you stay in a technology like mechatronics, robotics, etc., in general, you have even a higher probability, or is about 60%. But then when you move to the one of the section of the patent classification, which is about computational system, computer system, etc., the probability, especially in the last 20 years, drops to 30%. And even if you go to business method, it goes even below. So clearly there is an issue. So there are several explanations. One explanation is the patent directed to method or computational system, etc., might fall in the exclusion from patentability I mentioned at the beginning. The other reason is also the technical lifetime of invention. So mechatronics, which is typically a combination of mechanical and software, etc., but is for devices lasting longer than digital invention. Okay, well, in telecom, I was working telecom, but also in computer. So the application, the apps, the service, they last 6 months, and then even I heard a company say, okay, every 6 months, a telecom company, we had to come with a new innovation, new invention. So basically, it happens. People abandon the patent before they reach the grant stage, and then it happens. We want to grant the patents. Okay, now, well, now we are not using, and we are not interested in that commercial in that product. But also, what you said is very interesting, because you said you got a patent for method, and which can be applied also to other situations, not only to exoskeleton, maybe to other things. And this is a good. So the guy who wrote the patent application is very good, because he gives you a broader protection, or protection on broader application, number of application. And but when you go to broad patent, broad application, etc., the chance to get quickly or to get at all the patent is lower, because you try to get more protection, and then you may fall in a prior art anticipating your invention. While if you stay in your specific object, exoskeleton, etc., etc., so you are in a the scope is very narrow. The probability of getting a patent is higher. So this could be also an explanation. And then the last point I want to say on this, don't think, because this I was discussing recently with a colleague, yeah, well, the computer implemented invention, okay, you manage to have in your patent, in your claim, a technical effect, which is the reason or to be out of the exclusion from patentability. But then in the end, your invention is inventive at the end, or just you are doing something which we were doing without computer, now you're putting in a computer. So will be obvious. So this is the other issue. And then I can tell you one thing: the famous Davos case. We did the search report, and we looked for prior art, and then we found anticipating document. So because now we are all this is why I call the saga about the artificial intelligence inventor, etc. But if you look at that invention, apart from the innovation is having artificial intelligence as inventor, the object is quite trivial. So, so just putting artificial intelligence in your patent application computer doesn't qualify for an innovation. So this is the one risk or one thing people they don't consider often.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Domenico. I know we're going a little late, but I'm pretty sure Federico doesn't mind me stealing 10 minutes from his talk later. So we've been talking about protecting inventions and patents, or literally protecting intellectual property. I guess a question that comes from a lot of people, and myself as well, it's the idea of nowadays there's a big mass data collection. Everything you do is collected, stored, used, sold somewhere. And it's not only true for society, it's from individual to corporate level. So the one question that came up also during the webinars is, are large corporations behaving ethically when collecting and storing and actually leveraging this data? And it would be interesting to know, what measures are there to protect us and to ensure that also from an ethical point of view, to be honest, for this to be fairly used, or for us an individual, are there any measures that that are in place that you can shed a bit of more light on? So we're actually moving into more of a different kind of, let's say, section of the AI and IoT as well. So steering away from institutions. Yes. Don't know if I'll open the floor to anyone.
From the point of view, from a technical point of view, and from a technical point of view, there's been for a very long time the awareness that data are extremely sensitive, and the idea is that data should not leave where they should stay where they have been generated. They shouldn't be collected at all. So this passes through two big breakthroughs. One is algorithmic, and it's what is called federated learning. So the idea is that rather than having a central computational model where you put in the cloud and you send all your data to the cloud, and then your cloud chunks the data, what you have is that you have distributed computational models that are on site, so they are on devices that are, for instance, it's here on my watch or it's on your mobile. It stays there. The algorithm learns from the data when it is generated what it needs to learn, and all that is saved is what has been learned, which corresponds to some weight in an algorithm. And these algorithms weights, so it's a metadata, it's not the real data, something like a yes, no, or a binary string, gets transferred and stored somehow. And this now is being pushed and is coupled with having what is called the edge computing. So you really have the processing that happens here, and the more refined and the strongest is the computational power what you have on your device, the more you can push this paradigm of having only metadata, so doing everything on site, and transferring in the cloud something that is really very far from the data. So in this sense, in terms of privacy, then this is the highest protection, I guess, that you can give, because if there's some data generated by my camera or by my using any digital device, and all that comes out is yes, no, as that pops out, that is a good protection. That's what the community is doing right now. With respect to ethics, I'm not sure that patenting, and intellectual property is where this goes. But in terms of ethics, the AI Act and all the debate that is being going on around it, I think is a very good starting point. With respect of data, I take 1 minute more, not just 1 minute. A big warning. When data in their composition, in their statistics are not neutral, so it is ethical not only how you use AI, is ethical also how you feed AI. If you feed data that are not representative, not just of the world as it is, but also as the world as it should be, let me say, you might find yourself in a very big trouble.
Okay, I can see a few heads nodding as well. Does anybody want to add to this?
Yeah, if I can add something. So like federated learning and like other techniques comes from the umbrella of privacy and asset technology. So like for the user standpoint, you have a sort of protection for like the GDPR, for example, in Europe, or the CCPA in the US. So you have legislation that basically protect the final user to like how these data are collected, how they are processed, who is the person, and in this case, or the entities that is in charge of like this process. So maybe what Barbara was saying, like regarding having the data and process the data like inside the device, it's really important also because maybe nowadays we have like a shared service, like a localized service on the cloud, for example. I'm talking about, for example, AWS or other like services that you can demand the processing on their side instead of having like these devices. So like the right of like being able to access this data, being able to erase that data that are collected, especially like I'm talking, for example, a smartwatch that detects your heartbeat. So there are authentication systems that are based on the heartbeat because there are special characteristics that recognize that the single individual person. So like our heartbeat is like a fingerprint. So you can recognize the person. And so like exactly correlated to what Barbara was saying, another thing is related to how to feed this artificial intelligence algorithm. So like federated learning is one, then you have something like a differential privacy that allow a sort of anonymization of the data that you are collecting, adding a sort of like noise to the signal in a way that is not being able to recognize the single person or the single entity from the data that are collected. Then you have like the classical security protection, like encryption. And right now there is like a new trend, like on homomorphic encryption, for example. So like a sort of algorithm that like the data are completely obscure to like the entities that elaborate and process the data. So is not able to recognize like the data that are being processed, but you can still doing operation on this data without actually reveal the data itself. So there are all this technology that like it would be nice to maybe. This is like a problem that for artificial intelligence and especially IoT like is exploding right now. But there are technology, like especially in the research, that can address this problem. So legislation and technology measurement that can work together, like to like protect the user when you have the liability, or maybe if happen to have a breach on this device, if everything is like collected like by this company, what happens if is a breach happen? What is like the right of the user, like regarding this kind of data collected? And the same comes from artificial intelligence technology.
Okay, thank you. I feel I've learned quite a lot today, actually. I was wondering if anybody wanted to add to this. I know we're running out of time, but I think it's quite interesting.
Well, may I say something about policy making process? Yes. Now we have listened a lot of questions, but it's time to give some answers as well. So I would like to stress that Europe is the first one in trying to provide an answer, because last April the European Commission has published the European Regulation on Artificial Intelligence, which is a document that is trying to give common rules and trying to identify also risks associated to the use of AI. And so I would like to stress again that it's a job that we should take, that everyone should take. It's very difficult for us policymakers understand the technical behind the curtains of the use of AI, but we need to cooperate and collaborate together, because if you want to shape the future, only us we can do that, or only together. So I would like also to stress that you should give us an insight of about regulation, if it's technical sustainable, or if there is something to change. Otherwise, if regulation and research, they are going in a different path, we are not going to have straight answers to the question that we are making now.
Definitely. I think cooperation is definitely the key word in what you said, Marco, just to achieve anything, but also to move forward with all the implications, I guess, that will come, and the challenges that we'll face towards in the future. I think we're actually quite good with time, to be honest, because we did start the discussion a little bit later. I don't know if there's any questions coming up. I think we had just one or two, but also from our other participants. If not, what I'll do, I'll start wrapping up. And I would like to first, oh no, Shiva just jumped in, so maybe he would like to ask a question.
No, please, Gloria, go on.
Okay, I thought you just appeared there. So I would like to thank you all for taking your time and for joining us today. Thank you, Domenico, Sara, Matteo, Marco, and Barbara. It has been really interesting, also from a personal perspective. Sort of all the webinars I've been following throughout the event alongside all the TSD team. You have kind of, let's say, wrapped everything up very nicely with a ribbon in terms of bringing together the non-technical and the technical aspects and giving us a nice round insight into it. Thank you again. I'll think, Shiva, you next, or is it Federico that has to come up? But
allow me, before leaving the ground to Federico, just allow me a very final comment on your panel, Gloria. Thank you very much. That was comprehensive, and somehow it ended up being a bit of an exam to Domenico, because he was targeted from many different questions, and I think this is important, because it let us also understand that even between experts there is still room for more discussion and more work to do together. And I think that Marco at the end wrap up everything very well. That's time for the policymaker now, because we are facing a new era under this regard, but like in others, if we think at the medical side, like with the pandemic, but that's another topic. Luckily, we didn't talk about the COVID during this event almost. So I think that we are giving somehow our small contribution to the discussion, even stimulating this within the TSD. So we are glad about that, and we hope we will be able to contribute even more. And of course, as Netval, when it comes to supporting the Italian system of technology transfer, we are available to give our contribution, and it will be very, very well if we can do that. So thank you again to all our speakers. You've been very kind, and I will leave Federico the floor to you. How did it go? We've been successful like in the previous edition, or more or less? Tell us.
Thank you, Shiva. Thank you. And thank you all again, all of our opinion leaders for being here with us and for this very interesting roundtable. I'll now show you my screen. Tell me if you see it and when you see it so that I can start my presentation. Just a second.
We see it. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. So I can start. So thank you again all. I'm Federico Novembrini, and with Gloria, I am part of the Knowledge Share and Tech Share Day team. And right now I will show you, trying to stall you less time as possible, some metrics related to this event, to the events the digital events that we did till today. So first, just a second. Okay, first of all, TSD numbers. Where we started from this edition, we collected 36 technology plus, and if you do not know which are technology plus, are the summary of the technology with all the information related also to the market, to the killer application, the TRL, and all the deep dive information that the companies and investors want to see to start a contact with more information than the marketing annex that you can find in our standard ecosystem, which is TechShare, the knowledge share platform. So all in the website you can both find Tech Plus and also the patented technologies that at the bottom of the page you can directly drive you to the knowledge share page. And we have 200 more related to the AI and artificial intelligence topic. So regarding the TTOs, we organized this edition in collaboration with Giotto. So we didn't start the standard application with all the TTOs that are part of our network, but we want to try this format for this edition, and we were able to connect to the webinars and also to the Tech Plus 179 opinion leaders. Sorry. And did you still see my screen or not?
Yes.
Yes, we.
Okay, sorry for that. Okay. I was talking. We have 179 opinion leaders and team members. Regarding the contents and the webinars, I know that Tech Plus require a lot of effort, but in 3 editions we gather more than 12,000 views regarding the Tech Plus. So it means that this kind of content inside the website is very interesting for users that see that kind of content. So it's hard to achieve this result, and I know that we know that it's a quite effort for the TTOs and for our researchers colleagues. So but the result is very good. And also not only the views, but also the user interactions and the KPIs related to the user engagement and interaction are very good, because during the last edition we create a new format with impression and direct contacts that in 2 editions generated more than 200 impression and 15 direct contacts with the TTOs and our colleagues that are working on the project related to the patented technologies. And also the bounce rate, which is a technical KPI, is very good, because it means that the 78% of the users that are looking for technologies not only look at one technologies and then they go away, but they change page and they look inside our website and look for technologies, for more technologies or innovation, in order to check what they want to see. So it is a good one. And also I know that one of the main pain point with the TTOs are the creation of the videos. So also in this point, I have a good KPI which shows that all our videos in 3 edition have been seen for more than 3,600 times, and not only during the event. This is a content that we can use and that you can use to foster your technologies on the long run. So for the website analytics of this edition, we have about 1,700 users active during the webinars, with 15,000 views, page views. And talking about the international audience, we have about 49% of users that came from international countries, with a very good, in this KPI, the most important thing is related to the fact that each user almost see 7 pages. So are not bots or users that do not interact with the website, but are users that are active on the website, they are looking for something that they can find also in the platform, or in all the technologies that they can see in the platform or in the past events. Regarding the webinars analytics, here you can find the participation, attention grade, and the Q&A session. All the KPIs and the metrics are good, for sure. What we anticipate at the beginning of the session, for sure, the 40% of participation is not very good, but I think that it is good enough, because it means also that we are starting again a quite normal life, so we can get back to the office, and lots of people have maybe not much time to see and attend all the webinars. This is not an excuse, because we that work in the innovation ecosystem and in the tech transfer ecosystem have also to see those webinars as our work, part of our work. But I know that sometimes bureaucratic work and the standard task of each day bring us to not to participate to the full list of webinars. And also, one other thing that I want to say is that for the Q&A session, we always have a few questions. I know that maybe we are quite timid during the webinars to ask questions to the opinion leader, but for the next edition of TechShare Days, we want to find out some changes also in the format of the event, in order to try to involve and engage the users and the attendees more actively. Regarding the webinars, we have 3 main metrics: the satisfaction of the users, webinars topics, and webinars quality. They are quite high and in line with the previous edition, so we keep high the quality of the 3 days of webinars. And that's all. Thank you again for having me here with us, and thank you again also for all the DTOs that are part of the Giotto network, and thank you.
Great, Federico. Thank you very much. You did a great job, especially because it is really real time. So you were like updating the figures right where we were speaking. So we started this small game of presenting the real time data during the first edition, but then we liked it. So I think it will be kind of an ingredient that we will bring with us in the next edition.
Thank you, Shiva.
We like to put our face, and if some metrics is not good enough, we are brave enough to tell in real time and to commit to improve it for the future. But allow me to show you like really in real time. It should be like this. You can see my screen now, I think. I just wanted to show you in real time this comment, you know, which sorry, it's very badly viewable, but it's just because I took a snapshot from the control panel of the tool, but it says, I hope you are going to do other webinars in these topics and technologies. It was so interesting for me to be with you in these 3 days. So professionality and the smartness of slides received, they are so important basically for me. So I swear I didn't know this person before. I don't know his name or her name. So it makes us happy that our attendees are finding some value. So I wanted to show it with our audience. Now I think we will switch the language to Italian, back to our language, because we are going to have the very final session of this Texture Day Winter Edition 2021 with Loredana Guglielmetti from the Italian Patent and Trademark Office and Francesco Morgia. Ciao Loredana, benvenuta, buonasera.
Ciao, buon pomeriggio a tutti.
Buonasera, allora noi ti lasciamo la parola, tu ci racconti che finalmente insomma ha visto la luce o ha rivisto la luce, perché è una riedizione potenziata, un altro bello strumento che l'Ufficio Italiano Brevetti e Marchi ci mette a disposizione, sul quale abbiamo anche lavorato un po' insieme, ma non faccio spoiler, lascio a te.
Grazie Shiva e di nuovo buon pomeriggio a tutti. Sì, parlerò brevemente chiamiamolo nuovo Patiris. In realtà Patiris è un progetto che ha visto la luce nel 2013, è una banca dati che riguarda i brevetti delle università e dei centri di ricerca pubblici italiani. È nata sin dall'inizio appunto come una banca dati che di fatto consente di avere un vero e proprio osservatorio della brevettazione diciamo proveniente dalla ricerca accademica pubblica. E sin dall'inizio Patiris è stato creato su diciamo intanto su famiglie di brevetti e in un'ottica di open data e di report dinamici che consentono una forte interazione con l'utenza, che può scaricare una serie di report statistici che attraverso degli header possono essere, diciamo, in qualche maniera customizzati sulle esigenze dell'utenza. Più che un nuovo servizio è una ristrutturazione del vecchio servizio, anche se la veste grafica per l'utenza è molto simile, anzi è simile del tutto a quella che c'era in passato. In realtà è tutto quello che c'è dietro, la parte tecnica, che è stata ristrutturata. In particolare l'architettura software che diciamo ci ha consentito di avere una ricerca avanzata più performante, una esportazione di dati più efficiente, perché Patiris consente anche di scaricare i dati che l'utente diciamo richiede attraverso i report dinamici. E soprattutto questa ristrutturazione si è basata su una fonte dati diversa. Mentre in passato avevamo la fonte dati data da Orbit, la banca dati Orbit, che si basava tra l'altro su dei caricamenti semestrali manuali, l'attuale sistema invece di Patiris ha la sua fonte dati in un servizio dell'Ufficio Europeo dei Brevetti, un servizio gratuito che è l'OPS, l'Open Patent Service, che consente di accedere e fare il download di dati non solo bibliografici, ma che riguardano anche il testo dei brevetti e lo stato legale degli stessi. La nuova, diciamo, la nuova struttura diciamo, tecnica che sta dietro il back-end di Patiris, è stato creato proprio grazie alla collaborazione con Netval e il Politecnico di Milano, che ci hanno fornito, diciamo, una società, un data warehouse che ha lavorato con noi per la realizzazione di questo progetto del nuovo back-end, e vorrei però approfittare anche di questa sede per ringraziare l'ingegner Lino Fanella, che è un nostro funzionario che spero sia collegato e che ha collaborato attivamente alla realizzazione di questo nuovo progetto. Le altre novità che riguardano Patiris sono anche l'aggiornamento degli istituti mappati. Nella precedente edizione noi avevamo 96 università e 2 enti di ricerca, l'ENEA e il CNR, che erano mappati e quindi i cui brevetti erano inseriti nella banca data. Adesso siamo arrivati a 119 tra università e centri di ricerca, in realtà sono 98 università e 21 centri di ricerca pubblici, che sono quelli peraltro ufficialmente identificati dal MIUR, che in relazione ai quali è possibile ricercare i brevetti depositati dal 1950 in avanti. Un'altra interessante novità di Patiris è il fatto, ed è per questo peraltro che è stata inserita nel più ampio progetto che abbiamo con Netval e il Politecnico di Torino, che è la piattaforma Knowledge Share, che proprio poiché noi chiaramente con Patiris andiamo a mappare un qualcosa che è comune alla piattaforma Knowledge Share, che sono i brevetti delle università e dei centri di ricerca pubblici, in realtà da Patiris è possibile, attraverso i report dinamici che mappano le performance delle università e dei centri di ricerca, avere il collegamento diretto tra i brevetti mappati in Patiris e quelli che sono inseriti nella piattaforma Knowledge Share. E quindi diciamo questo chiaramente è una cosa molto interessante, una novità molto interessante che vuole essere anche il preludio a nuovi sviluppi, a una più profonda integrazione tra le due piattaforme. La ricerca, come dicevo, su Patiris è stata moltissimo migliorata, è consentito fare una serie di ricerche per diverse chiavi, anche combinazioni di chiavi che vanno dall'applicant, l'inventore, il numero di pubblicazione, il numero della domanda naturalmente, le classi IPC cui è classificato il brevetto. Quindi diciamo invito tutti a provare la nuova piattaforma, che si trova, l'indirizzo è facilissimo, è patiris.mise.gov.it, alla piattaforma si accede anche attraverso il sito dell'Ufficio Italiano Brevetti e Marchi dalla sezione Banche Dati. E niente, avremo altre occasioni probabilmente prossimamente di spiegare ancora più in dettaglio la nuova piattaforma Patiris, e invito appunto tutti a visitarla. E adesso lascio la parola al collega Shiva, che poi insomma è il collega Francesco Morgia, che saluterà per conto dell'UIBM. Grazie.
Grazie Loredana, grazie per questa introduzione. Patiris è veramente uno strumento interessante, anch'io consiglio al pubblico di andare a dare un'occhiata. Per diciamo, quelli più distratti fra i nostri ascoltatori che potrebbero non averlo colto, bisogna specificare che non è un progetto che va in sovrapposizione, in contrapposizione con Knowledge Share, perché Knowledge Share, ormai lo sanno tutti, lo abbiamo detto tante volte, racconta in maniera comprensibile ad un pubblico quanto più ampio possibile il contenuto dei brevetti, mentre Patiris è un tool statistico in qualche modo focalizzato sulla produzione brevettuale dell'Accademia italiana, quindi da questo punto di vista omogeneo rispetto a Knowledge Share, perché insiste sullo stesso tipo di oggetti, e per questo motivo in realtà i due tool sono complementari. E se i nostri progetti potranno continuare secondo i piani che noi abbiamo fatto insieme, in futuro saranno ancora più complementari, per cui speriamo di riuscire a rendere poi anche il passaggio, no, dall'uno all'altro sistema quanto più fluido e trasparente possibile, per cui chi guarda le statistiche poi potrebbe avere l'opportunità di fare quello che in gergo si chiama il drill down e arrivare al singolo brevetto e vederne la descrizione su knowledge share, o viceversa chi sta guardando dei brevetti su knowledge share magari vede un'invenzione particolarmente interessante del Politecnico di Torino, adesso io faccio prodomomia come al solito, e però si chiede, ma chissà se il Politecnico di Torino quali e quanti altri brevetti ha, e può andarli a vedere in maniera aggregata su Patiris.
Sì, certo, infatti sì, io parlavo di, forse non ho spiegato fino a fondo che parlavo di integrazione tra i due sistemi, ma in realtà è una complementarietà sicuramente perché hanno un nucleo comune che è quello dei brevetti delle università, però chiaramente li trattano da punti di vista diversi. Sicuramente dal punto di vista di Patiris cercare i brevetti di alcuni istituti e poi da questi trovare quelli che inseriti nella piattaforma knowledge share probabilmente sono quelli che dimostrano di avere una propensione maggiore al mercato, una maturità diciamo diversa, diciamo consente anche a Patiris di arricchire le ricerche che appunto in questo modo non sono solo numeriche ma consentono, laddove presenti le schede sul knowledge share, anche di fare degli ulteriori approfondimenti o viceversa diciamo da knowledge share chi vuole può invece fare delle estrazioni statistiche anche numeriche se invece vuole spostarsi su Patiris e cercare il numero e quali brevetti diciamo sono presenti sulla piattaforma Patiris. Tra l'altro diciamo la piattaforma Patiris consente sia di fare delle estrazioni dal punto di vista proprio degli istituti, quindi quelli più performanti, quindi fare proprio delle graduatorie mettendo dei periodi di indagine diversi, diciamo delle annate diverse, ma consente anche di fare delle ricerche dal punto di vista brevettuale e quindi cercare dei brevetti specifici o anche fare delle ricerche per classi tecnologiche o per aree geografiche, cioè quali sono diciamo i brevetti che poi sono stati estesi a livello internazionale in quali paesi. Quindi consente di avere diciamo una visione anche abbastanza ampia della vita, della famiglia del brevetto dell'università.
Sì, perfetto. No, ma tu lo avevi detto in effetti, però ci ho tenuto a ribadirlo perché per noi che siamo abituati a pensarci è ormai scontato, ma in effetti chi ci ascolta, poi non ci esponiamo alla critica, no? Che si fanno sempre due cose, no? Invece possiamo essere orgogliosi del fatto che le cose le facciamo insieme e le facciamo.
No, anzi, è esattamente il contrario, che in questo caso erano due progetti separati che invece di cui è stata valorizzata la complementarietà, e poi sono sicura che questo è un primo passo, proprio come dicevi tu, per ulteriori approfondimenti diciamo, di questa complementarietà e di queste funzioni diciamo, complementari tra le due piattaforme.
Sì, grazie. Possiamo vedere che portiamo efficienza nel sistema. Grazie mille.
Esatto. Esatto. Grazie.
Allora, se Francesco torna, non so se è lì con te. Io lascerei volentieri la parola a Francesco Morgia, dirigente dell'Ufficio Italiano Brevetti e Marchi. Francesco, tu hai sempre delle ottime massime per chiudere il Tech Share Day, per cui so che anche quest'anno non ci deluderai, me lo sento. Ti lasciamo un po' di final remarks.
Grazie Shiva, grazie tante, grazie a tutti quelli che hanno collaborato all'organizzazione di questo Tech Share Day, che è diciamo un secondo appuntamento importantissimo per noi, è una buona edizione, si basa sulla piattaforma Knowledge Share, è una piattaforma alla quale noi teniamo molto, ci abbiamo lavorato, ci abbiamo investito da tanto tempo. Il colloquio che avete fatto te, Loredana, ha dimostrato come è un esempio diciamo di efficientamento della spesa pubblica, perché non si vanno a duplicare interventi, ma si razionalizzano quelli esistenti che hanno bene o male lo stesso obiettivo. Mi fa piacere parlare di knowledge share perché diciamo, con lo sforzo che abbiamo messo in campo abbiamo avuto anche dei riconoscimenti. Cito il report del marzo di quest'anno della DG Ricerca e Competition sul trasferimento tecnologico, la DG della Commissione Europea, che parla appunto delle best practice a livello UE sul trasferimento tecnologico. ne cita 4 per quanto riguarda l'Italia. Una è la nostra piattaforma Knowledge Share, vuol dire che siamo sulla strada giusta, non ci fermiamo, non ragioniamo solamente in questa ottica di complementarietà fra strumenti esistenti, ma abbiamo l'ambizione di fare un passaggio più forte, grazie anche al fatto che, tenuto conto, diciamo, di questa best practice, siamo riusciti a inserire l'evoluzione della piattaforma Knowledge Share all'interno della riforma del sistema della proprietà industriale, che fa parte delle riforme del PNRR. Sì, a fianco alle grandi riforme che vengono citate sempre sui media, c'è anche la riforma della proprietà industriale. Uno degli interventi incardinati all'interno di questa riforma è proprio il passaggio, l'evoluzione della piattaforma Knowledge Share, chiamiamola la 2.0, 3.0, insomma non mi formalizzerei tanto sui numeri, ma solamente a un'espansione della stessa. Facciamo la parte del leone, perché in quest'ottica di complementarietà e di unicità e di efficienza delle informazioni abbiamo, tra le varie cose che vorremmo fare, anche quella di integrare, aumentare la base informativa, arricchendola con una banca dati sugli spin-off. Quindi avremo, diciamo, sempre la possibilità di avere un sistema sempre più ampio e più visibile da un unico punto di riferimento, che è questa piattaforma. La piattaforma è anche la base di iniziative di promozione e di diffusione della cultura della proprietà industriale e soprattutto della capacità del sistema della ricerca pubblica di creare innovazione. Per questo abbiamo creato e innestato sulla piattaforma il premio Intellectual Property Award di quest'anno, del 2021, che avrà una sua fine, speriamo, gloriosa a Dubai, all'interno della settimana dell'innovazione che avremo tra fine febbraio e inizio marzo. Cosa abbiamo fatto? Abbiamo bandito un concorso su 7 macro aree tecnologiche e i migliori 5 brevetti per ciascuna macro area tecnologica verranno a Dubai e avranno la possibilità di fare una presentazione per mostrare la loro capacità innovativa a quel mondo di investitori, di imprese che saranno presenti a Dubai. Hanno risposto in molti, abbiamo avuto 217 brevetti, nuove tecnologie che si sono presentate. La commissione di valutazione sta facendo il suo lavoro, ha chiuso una prima fase individuando un set di brevetti che hanno superato la prima fase di selezione. Adesso è in corso la seconda fase, che speriamo di chiudere entro la prima metà di dicembre, in modo tale da individuare i 5 finalisti che avranno come premio proprio quello, diciamo, di poter venire a Dubai in questa settimana e presentare le proprie invenzioni. All'interno di ciascuna macro area tecnologica verrà poi scelto un vincitore che avrà un premio in denaro di 10.000 euro che il Ministero conferirà e che sarà utilizzato per innalzare il livello di maturità tecnologica dell'invenzione stessa. Ecco, creiamo questi sistemi perché il palcoscenico di Dubai abbiamo avuto già una prima azione che ha riscosso un grande successo con la mostra Italia Geniale, che è stata aperta dal ministro Giorgetti ed è stata, diciamo, lì presso il Padiglione Italia dal 7 al 22 novembre, ha rappresentato il genio italiano del design. Abbiamo l'ambizione adesso di andare a presentare il genio italiano dell'innovazione, cioè la capacità del sistema della ricerca pubblica di creare innovazione. Quindi sì, andremo lì a presentare queste 7x5, 35 tecnologie, 7 macro aree, 5 finalisti, ma avremo soprattutto l'occasione di presentare come il sistema della ricerca pubblica italiana è in grado di creare innovazione. È un sistema che, diciamo, non nasce occasionalmente, non sono queste strutture che creano innovazione nate dall'oggi al domani, c'è una storia, c'è un grande investimento, ci sono grandi professionalità e c'è, come dico sempre io, il genio di noi italiani di poter portare a casa risultati ottimi. E quindi ecco, io non solo vi lascio con l'auspicio di avere già a partire dall'anno prossimo una forte evoluzione della piattaforma grazie alle risorse del PNR, ma vi lascio anche con gli appuntamenti nel 2022 del Tech Share Day, che ormai è diventato un appuntamento fondamentale, con questo format o con format evoluto. Sono altre circostanze che ci consentiranno di muoverci in questa direzione. Speriamo appunto di poterne fare anche altre versioni, ma se permane, diciamo, questa situazione rimarremo sul digitale, ma soprattutto anche con questo palcoscenico forte di fine febbraio, inizio marzo, per presentare appunto con diciamo grande onore la nostra capacità inventiva. Grazie Shiva.
Grazie Francesco, siamo proprio contenti e effettivamente insomma sarà bello vedere le invenzioni brevettuali o brevettate delle università italiane sul palcoscenico dell'Expo. Credo sia veramente la prima volta che l'Italia riesce a portare sul palco questo tipo di oggetti, ne ha sicuramente nella sua storia avuti tanti altri meritevoli, però questo è un capitolo nuovo e insomma mi sembra andare in linea col trend di ormai crescita di importanza del trasferimento tecnologico, dell'innovazione di provenienza universitaria, del mondo delle start-up di origine accademica, per cui noi ci siamo, ci crediamo ovviamente. Combattiamo tutti i giorni con delle condizioni avverse per cercare di portare a casa i risultati, ma mi sembra che il sistema italiano si stia iniziando anche a far vedere a livello internazionale e quindi siamo veramente contenti. Io a questo punto chiederei a Gloria e a Federico, magari se sono ancora collegati, di riaccendere le loro telecamere, perché loro sono sicuramente quelli che si devono prendere un po' di meriti alla fine di tutto. Siete quelli che si fanno odiare di più da tutti nelle fasi preparatorie dell'evento, ma poi alla fine fortunatamente tutti ci ringraziano, quindi solo che lo facciano per il bene complessivo. Vedo che Francesco sta invitando anche Loredana a ritornare in video, per cui dai, così mentre ci siamo tutti insieme facciamo un bel saluto a tutto il nostro pubblico e ricordandoci che poi ci rivedranno anche se vogliono in archivio per tutte le volte che vorranno. Perciò ci vediamo presto e sicuramente a Dubai e al prossimo TechShare Day 2022. Grazie a tutti, arrivederci.
Grazie Federico, grazie Gloria, grazie tante.
Grazie a voi. Ciao, buona serata.
Buona serata.